Now what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a layer to put some images on. So I'm just going to rename that images. And what we're going to do, let's just have a look in outline mode, Command Y. What we're going to do is put an image that goes from the left hand side of the spine all the way across to the right hand side of the bleed area, and it's going to extend vertically from the top bleed all the way to the bottom bleed. So it's going to be 13 mils plus 129.5 plus 3, which will give us a total width of 145.5 horizontally from this fold mark all the way to the edge of the bleed, and vertically we've got 3 mils plus 182 mils plus another 3 mils gives us 188 mils. Let's just quickly save that before we go over to Photoshop. Now in Photoshop, let's open up an image. That one will do. Clicking open. I'll just make it a bit smaller. Okay, I'm going to grab the crop tool and I'm going to make sure I enter numerically up the top the width and the height that I want. I've already decided that 145.5 millimeters, got to type in mm, is fine. 188 millimeters for the height is fine. And if I'm going to print this thing on a laser printer, color laser, then 200 pixels per inch would be fine. If I'm going to print it on a commercial color printing press, then 300 pixels per inch is what I'm after. Let's just stick with 200. Now let's just start dragging out our crop tool. Now this is a very big image. It's I think about 3,500 pixels wide and a couple of thousand high, so that's fine. We're just got to bear in mind that our DVD slick in inches is around about 7.5 inches high. So if you multiplied that out, 7.5 by 200 pixels per inch, you've got to make sure that what you're left with is at least 1,500 pixels high. And I think we'll be fine on this image because, as I said, it's a rather large image. So I'm just going to do this kind of thing and click the Enter tool to commit to that. I think I might like to have this pelican facing the other way, so let's just go to Image, Rotation, Flip Canvas Horizontal. That way I'll have lots of water on the left hand side for the spine. It's in RGB format at the moment. Let's convert it to CMYK. Let's go Mode, CMYK, click OK. I'm just going to check the image size just here, and I can see that I've got 1480 pixels high, which is close enough to the 1500 that I actually need. It's told me that it's made it the right width for me, 145.5, and close enough to 188 for my height. Resolution is 200 pixels per inch, which is fine for printing on a color laser. Click OK. Save this as a TIFF. Don't want it to save it as another JPEG because we don't want to lose any more quality. So cover image, let's just go CMYK just so we know. Not a JPEG, as I said. Let's go for TIFF. I'm going to leave embed color profile attached to this file, so Illustrator will pick up on all the color settings that Photoshop used to create the file, so we won't have any nasty surprises with colors changing on us. Get some consistency between the programs. I'm going to leave LZW compression on to shrink the file size down a bit and just leave all this other stuff as it is. And that's all we need to do in Photoshop. We can close that off, go back to Illustrator. We're going to go Place, File, Place, and there's our cover image, CMYK TIFF. Let's just place that. And I'm just going to drag that, so V for move. Make sure you click right on it. Sometimes it's just easier to drag it right out of the way because you get lines everywhere and you don't know what's going on. Let's move it close to where we want it to be. It's just going to have to be right in that corner. I'm going to zoom in, Z for zoom, and then just drag right where I want it to go. Just snaps it in there. Let's just go, that was Command 0 to zoom out. Let's just go Command Y just to have a look, and just click outside it there just to select nothing. Now as you can see, there's our crop marks in the corner, and our image is hanging 3 mils over the edge, except here of course it's right smack bang on the edge. Let's supposing I want to duplicate this image and have it on the back as well, so I'm going to hold down the Option key, Shift key, because I don't want it to move up and down, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it across, and I'm going to try and align the right hand edge as best as I can. Let's just zoom in and make sure. V for move, and just drag it across with the Shift key so it doesn't wobble up and down. Command 0, and that's looking okay. Now the only problem is, in Illustrator you can't crop things, so we've got to get rid of this bit on the left here. Now what we're going to do is use what's called a mask. So I'm just going to go back into outline mode, and what I'm going to do is click out there to deselect. I'm just going to grab a rectangle, and it can be filled with anything, doesn't matter what the color is, and I'm going to click right on the edge of where the bleed mark is, and I'm just going to drag a big rectangle out. Let's go back into wireframe, preview mode. We got this rectangle here. As I said, it doesn't matter what color it's filled with, you know, it could have been green, it doesn't really matter. What's going to happen is where the image underneath and the rectangle overlap, then that's going to actually be what you're left with. I'm just going to move that up a little bit like that. I'm going to make sure I've got my background image selected as well, so let's hit the Shift key. So we've got them both selected, and hopefully if we go to Object Clipping Mask Make, it'll do that. So what it's done is it's masked out that stuff on the left for us. Now it's not too bad, except I think I might actually change the opacity of this and drop it down a bit. So let's just go Shift Command A to select nothing. Let's click on the actual image itself. Now what I need to do is I need to go to there we go. That was appearance, window, window, appearance, and then I'm clicking on opacity to get this little drop-out box, and I'm just going to reduce that maybe to 50%, or maybe a bit less. I can always come back and tweak it later on, because I want to put some text and things over the top there. Okay, so now I'm probably happy with that, I guess. So let's just maybe click enter to accept that, and let's go back to layers, function 7, and we're going to padlock that. So now we've set our background up. We need to put some text in here, so let's put another layer, and we'll rename that for text, and click OK. I want to put some writing on the spine, and I'm going to constrain it into a box this time, so I'm going to go Type Tool, and I'm going to click out a box. I'm just going to drag out a box from anywhere at the moment, and the easiest way of doing this is to put a box like that, type on the spine here. Let's triple click on it, make it a bit bigger, maybe make it bold, change the font if you want. Now I'm going to rotate this thing around 90 degrees, so let's go to our rotate tool, which is over here, and I'm going to click on that. It sets a center axis point, and that's fine for the moment. It can go anywhere. Let's just you can move it if you want to. I don't really need to move it. Let's just leave it where it was. Let's double click on that tool, and we want to rotate this thing around. Let's go 90 degrees and go OK. Now it's actually flipped it around the wrong way. I really want it to be the other way. So I can either go undo that and go Command Z and double click again and go -90 degrees. And then just drag it where we want it to go. Here somewhere, like that. I can reshape the size of this little box of text at the moment. Usually put the text around this way so it's readable when you have the disc case lying on a shelf flat. You want to be able to read it without standing on your head. So let's go colour. Let's just change that. White would probably be good. I'm just going to turn the guides back on, Command : just to make sure where those guidelines are. And I can use the keyboard keys, the arrow keys, just to nudge it left or right. If I want to move it right up and down, I'm just going to drag it. Hold down the Shift key so it doesn't move left or right. So I can stick that there somewhere. I can put some more type here. Let's go Text Tool. Let's drag out a... I'm just going to click and enter. This is going to be fairly big, so we can put our title here. Oops, let's spell that right. I'm going to grab the selection arrow, hold down the Shift key, and I can actually drag those letters and make them bigger. I might stick that up there somewhere. Make that white as well, or whatever colour I want. On the back, I might want to have a whole heap of text. Just before I do that, I'm just going to quickly go Command Save, Command S. Now, this is where dragging out a box for the text is really good. So let's just drag out, we might have a box of text that's there. And I might want to fill that with all sorts of text. So I'm just going to type in a whole heap of stuff for the moment. And I can always go back and change that if I want to when I get some real text. 24 points probably a bit big too, so let's go Command A, select all that. Something like 12 point might be okay. But anyway, that's where my text is going to be. Let's set up another box, so I'm just going to hold down the Option key and the Shift key, and I'm going to click again and drag that across. So I got two boxes of text side by side now. If I go and Command Y to outline view, you can actually see my boxes of text, and that might help me to move them into the center if they're slightly off center. If I need to change the size of these boxes at any stage, remember I just need the direct selection tool, which is A on your keyboard, and then I can click on one of the frames, hold down the Shift key because I don't want it to move from left to right, and then I can actually change the size of one of these boxes, like just by doing that sort of thing. Oh, they were both selected there, so that's made a bit of a mess. Let's just undo that. Command Z. Just click outside to select nothing. Grab the bottom of the box on the left. Shift key, and up we go, I hope. There we go. And we can tip some real text into that later on. Command Y, let's have a look at that. Okay, so far so good. Let's save that. By the way, if you want some dummy text, just go to the internet, do a Google search for Lorem Ipsum, L-O-R-E-M-I-P-S-U-M, and there's tons of these generator things that give you fake Latin, and you can just copy and paste them, and they'll give you how many paragraphs you want and stuff like that, and you can just paste them straight in if you want to. That gives you a good way of doing dummy text. Let's, save that. Oh, I just did. Good. Now we need some graphics in here. I've got the DVD logo and a few other things, so let's grab our layers palette again and padlock the text. Make graphics layer. Stuff you'd normally have on there, which I've already made. Let's go to open. We've got our DVD logo and graphics. Let's have a look what we got in there. Okay, let's go for a DVD logo. I'm going to go for white. Go open. Opens up in its own window. Oops, that was a black one. Let's close that off. Open. Let's go for white this time. It's in wireframe mode so I can see it. I'm just going to select all and group everything together just in case it's separated. I want all the pieces to move as one. I'm going to go Command C to copy, or you can go up to the edit menu and do that. Close that window off, and I'm going to paste in the graphics layer. It's the only layer that's not padlocked, so let's paste that. Obviously too big, hold down the Shift key, drag a handle from the corner, and let's make it a bit smaller. Let's make it really small. Make it really small, shove that in the spine. Zoom in, Z for zoom, draw a marquee around there. And V for our selection arrow. Let's make that a bit bigger. I'm just going to drag that out that way, and then drag out the top left-hand corner until I'm happy with that, and maybe stick it down the bottom there somewhere. So that's often where they put these things. Command 0. Let's put one on the back, but I will use the black one this time, so I'm going to go open and grab hold of the black one. Just select it all, make sure it's grouped. I'm going to go Command G this time to group. I'm going to go Command C to copy, and then I'm going to close that window off. Now I'm going to go paste, Command V. Shrink it down, Shift key, drag, and just stick it down here somewhere. Often you get a barcode down in this bottom left hand corner, and we've got a dummy one of those, so let's go to open and fish out the barcode sample. If it comes up with this message, just click yes. Command 0 to see the whole thing. Let's select all, Command A. Let's just go Command G to group it. We'll copy it. Command C will do copy, and we'll close that window off. Don't save it. Let's paste it. Command V, or we can just paste. Now hopefully it'll be the right size. It should be about 40mm wide. Let's have a look in the transform box. It's 40 by 30, which is fine. That's the right size. So let's just move that. Got the selection arrow going here, and let's just stick that down the corner. I'm just going to move it and make sure it's not too close to the edge with my guidelines, so I can see what 3mm looks like by looking at the bleed. So I'll just make sure it's about there. If I want to be sure, just zoom in, and then I can just sort of move that till it's about 3mm from the edge. So good enough. We also want a film literature classification logo, so we'll bung that in somewhere. And let's go open. Film classification logos. We've got big ones and small ones. This looks like a G-rated thing with some pelicans, so we'll get the small G, which looks like that. We'll go open. Again, we'll just select all, we'll group, and we'll copy, Command C. We'll close that window off. Command W will actually close windows off. And we'll paste, Command V. I'm going to make that a lot smaller. Now, this has actually got a white stroke applied to the green box. And at the moment, if I shrink that down, the stroke actually hasn't changed its thickness. So I'll just undo that, Command Z. What I need to do to make sure the stroke actually gets thinner as I shrink this thing down is I've got to go into the scale tool. I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to click this thing that says options, scale, stroke and effects. Click OK. So now what will happen, let's just grab the selection arrow. When we shrink that down, keep your finger on the option key. When you shrink that down, the stroke has actually got smaller as well. And I'm going to shrink that right down and drag it into the spine. I'm just going to zoom again, Z for zoom, and just make sure that's in the right spot, and it's looking pretty good, so I might just leave that. Command 0. We've got a bigger one of these G logos, so let's open that out. Open it up, open. I'm going to go for, where is it? G large for general exhibition. Same deal, select all of it, Command A. Command G to make sure it's grouped, and Command C for copy, Command W to close the window off, Command V for paste. Now let's grab our selection arrow. We've already made sure that we're going to shrink the scale of the line work. But if you want to make sure, just go back in and click here on the scale tool and make sure that's ticked. Okay, select tool, finger on the shift key and shrink it down to the size that you want, and maybe we'll stick that on the back like that. There's another icon that often will go in to tell you what format the thing's in. So let's go and have a look. We've got this thing called 16:9 widescreen 4:3 letterbox. I'm going to click OK. I'll open that, sorry. Another way to check to see that everything's grouped is you just grab hold of something and drag it, and if everything goes, then it's grouped. This is obviously not grouped. So let's go Command Z to undo that. We'll select all, Command A, Command G to group. So now, this time, if I click on one part of it and drag it, the whole thing will go with it. So let's copy that, Command C. We'll close this window off, and it's going to ask do we want to save it, because we actually made a change to it by grouping it. So let's save it for next time. Click OK. Close that window off and paste, Command V. Let's drag that somewhere, make it smaller, Shift key, drag a handle, and put that somewhere. What that actually tells us is that this thing's in widescreen 16:9 format, and if you're watching it on an old style 4:3 TV, you're still going to see the 16:9, but it's just going to have the letterbox bars top and bottom, the black bars. We might put something in about the sound, and we've got a logo for that, so let's open that up. Let's pretend we've done this thing in Dolby Digital Sound, so we'll open that thing up. Let's select all. We'll group that just in case, Command G, Command C to copy, Command W to close the window, Command V to paste. Let's grab the selection tool, type V on the keyboard for that, move it into the right spot, shrink it down a bit, finger on the Shift key to do that, and we might want to stick that over here somewhere, maybe make it a bit smaller. And there we've got our Dolby logo. We might want to put our title up here on the left hand side that we've already done on the front cover, so let's lock our graphics layer, unlock our text layer, select our text title, hold down the Option key because we want to make a copy, and then we'll just drag it over here somewhere. And we might want to change that text to a different color, so while it's still highlighted we'll go and select black. And just click outside to select nothing. So you can see against the background we've got our crop marks, which are indicated by our guidelines. If you want to be sure, just turn the guidelines off, go Command : and you can see our crop marks and our fold marks. Might want to move that type into the center, so let's just drag it down, hold the Shift key so it doesn't move to the left or right, and just click on the text and drag it down. There we go. And if we're happy with that, save that. Now you're going to have to make another one of these slicks for the inside cover. This is the outside, obviously, it's got the outside on the right. For the inside cover you're going to have the left panel and the right panel. Often the disc will go on the right panel, so you may not actually put anything there at all. It's up to you really whether you want to do that or not. But you need to have some information at least on the left inside cover. And you would do exactly the same. You don't have to create it from scratch, of course, because you've already got your let's just go to our layers. We've already got our template, so you've already done that. You just need to do the same thing with all your other layers and put images in if you want them, and text and graphics, and build up the inside part of the slick. Anyway, that's it.